Hello there everybody, welcome back to another Lost Ark video. It's Topical Tuesday where we take a look at the Lost Ark game subreddit over the last week and we see what's been happening on the subreddit. And I think I have a hunch as to what's going to be at the top here. So let's do this. Is there a post that shows the changes in like a good way? I wonder if this will do it. No. Sorry, let me see if I can find a thread that shows it. Okay, so it took me a little bit longer than I thought, but I did eventually find a post that at least summarizes the changes, because I don't really want to dig up the Inven notes and like translate them myself, because that's way too much effort, and I am bad at it. But basically, I just wanted something to be able to read off of and like show you guys, because I read the changes, but I don't remember everything exactly, and I don't want to get things too wrong, because, I mean, it's no fun being completely wrong. But this is the thread that I found this in. So the thread is, somehow people forgot that the director in previous stream wanted to change the gems so that people aren't forced to play one class rosters and enjoy multiple classes instead. Now he did a complete 180, and instead, one-class rosters will be punished while nothing changes for others. Meanwhile, different class rosters arguing with one-class roster players instead of pointing fingers at Smilegate, multi-classes accusing one class of cheaping out, blah blah blah, blah blah blah. For the context to those unaware, the director announced that the gems will now be character-bound if you want to activate a special attack power bonus, plus be able to swap gems inside a preset. To unbind them, there will be a cooldown or a cost. Technically, you could play with unbound gems just like we do now, but it is likely unbound gem setup would get gatekept, same way how now event T4 or T3 gems get gatekept. And you can also convert gems. Gem conversion is a thing. So you can convert damage to cooldown to damage. And the general consensus, well, not the general consensus, the way that it is balanced currently is a bound tier 9 gem is very slightly worse than an unbound tier 9, level 9 gem. Tier 4 level 9 gem is slightly worse than an unbound level 10 tier 4 gem. So it's basically slightly below the tier above its unbound variant. And obviously a level 10 bound is going to just be a little bit better than a level 10 unbound, right? Because there's nothing above it. And I believe there is a week-long cooldown to unbind a gem, and I believe it also costs blue crystals. Don't quote me on that, because there's no like super good mega thread that I could find that shows this stuff. Maybe this would do it. No, not really. It's just a bunch of people parroting like bad mistranslations and stuff, like Inven posts, which is why I'm trying to find something like concrete text written that seems to be mostly agreed upon. Because I'm gonna be the first to say it. I don't know exactly what the changes are, because I don't read Korean and translations get lost, right? But this is the general idea of the change. Now, obviously, a lot of people are very upset about this for multiple different reasons. The main one being that gems are obviously going to be worth significantly less, investment going down, etc., whatever. That's the Korean side. And then obviously, the main thing that I see in the Western community, at least, is just restricting accessibility even more. People are not happy about it. Because again, why would you be? It is very strange. It is very, 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 very strange. I do think this is kind of missing the point. I think you're exaggerating. People will gatekeep for having non-bound gems. You could say that about like every system that slowly gets introduced to the game, but it's just another layer of things to look at and be like, well, you don't have these, this guy has these, I take this guy instantly, I don't consider you because you're a rat, quote unquote, type mentality. I just don't think it's particularly good. I'm not really sure how I feel about the change, to be honest. I'll let my thoughts cook on it as we keep looking at what else has been posted on the subreddit over this last week. So this next thread here is by our good man Dan Daze. Lost Ark's success is held hostage by greed from every angle. Every single fix that would make the game better is completely hamstrung by people trying to make money. And then some bullet points. We can't re-enter raids because busters would infinitely carry people. Old raids get golds nerfed because multi-account Andes would farm too much. The game is infested with bots because people would spend too much, or because people spend so much on RMT. The Tier 3 dead zone exists because Smilegate wants new players to spend to push alts. We don't get roster gems because the whales would cry too much about their spending losing value. 2 gem classes, 6x1 gem class, fiend gem, friend gem class sharing gets punished because those people don't spend enough. Truly is goblins all the way down. SG seems unwilling to actually fix any of these problems, really a shame. The game could be so much more successful if they weren't so scared of implementing change. Yeah, I mean, I kind of been preaching this for as long as I can remember, and it's not a surprise. I always bring this up, so I won't harp on it too terribly much, but I think it's a lot of it just comes from the cultural difference, right? A Korean MMO, or a Korean game in general, is significantly different in terms of what kind of monetization structure exists between, like, Korea and the West. These two cultures are very at odds with each other when it comes to video games, especially in the way in which the monetization structure is set up within them. A lot of the problems in this game are specifically maneuvered and manufactured to exist because they can sell you the solution. Pretty much every single Eastern game does this to some degree. And some of the games are entirely built upon this model where if you don't pay, it's very, very, very difficult to play it at all, if not nearly impossible. It sucks, is what I would say. And this is just another thing to get added on top, you know? Always has been. Every time it's the same losers crying that their grand scheme becomes worthless when anybody thinks about nerfing, honing, improving gems, or whatnot. The actual regard mindset of if I suffered so they have to too, otherwise it's not fair, is too deep in the player base of this game. I think it's too deep in the mindset of, like, most humans in general, from what I am seeing from things, and just the state of at least my world, you know what I mean? But I guess maybe the internet does just specifically breed toxicity, so you will see a lot more of negative, like, stuff on the internet. I don't know. I try not to get too deep in the sauce. I'm just a guy, man, at the end of the day, and if you expect anything more, anything less, I am what I am, you know? I'm just doing this for fun. I'm doing this because I like the small community that I do have here on YouTube. And this is just something fun, you know? Maybe I bring a little bit of, I don't know, je ne sais quoi to your otherwise mundane and normal day. Not to say that I'm anything special or otherwise, but I know, you know, if I can make one person's day just a little bit better, it is all worth it for me, man. And I think that mentality, I really wish more people had it in general, instead of, like, this, I got mine, everything is bad, fuck everything, fuck you, fuck me, fuck you again type shit, you know what I mean? I don't know. Imagine making a good game with a good user experience and getting whales through other means like amazing skins and cosmetics or in-game push, while treating new players with the respect instead of shitting into their mouths when they dare try to play this game free to play. I don't get how their main priority isn't getting new players into the game. I think it just comes down to that's just not how Korean games function. And I don't think the quote-unquote localization Amazon has done is enough for us. And I've always said this, you know? And when I say localization, I mean far more than just a translation. I mean, like, the localization of how the game functions and plays, you know? There's far more to localization than just a translation. It sucks. It sucks. It sucks. It sucks. And this is a Korean post from Inven that is summated and translated through ChatGPT. I'm not going to really read this because it is a very long post, and I do remember reading this when it was posted. But I will slowly scroll it, and you're absolutely free to pause the video and read it if you like. But The TLDR, is there a TLDR here? Yes, there is. Okay, good. I could summarize it as well, but if he already has this TLDR, I'll just read that. So the TLDR of the post titled, this Korean post summarizes why they are truly mad. The TLDR is the economic mismanagement. Lost Ark relied on unsustainable Ponzi-like economy, leading to inflation, repeated resets, and alienation of the player base. Bullet point number 2 is the neglect of critical issues. Developers failed to address systematic problems like multi-account farming and gold farming workshops, allowing exploiters to undermine the game's economy. But so far, both of these are very, very true, and they're very large issues. Bullet point number 3 is player alienation. The reward systems punish dedicated players while benefiting exploiters, creating widespread dissatisfaction and eroding trust. I'm not necessarily sure how it would punish dedicated players. But I can't argue against benefiting exploiters, at least for our version of the game. But I'm not really sure how dedicated players are punished. Because it seems like dedicated players are the only people who can really play the game in a manner in which would be considered, like, playable for, like, the general population of people who play games. Maybe I just have a misinterpretation of what that means. Reactive and ineffective leadership. That's bullet point number 4. Decisions were consistently late and short-sighted, exacerbating problems, creating a harsher, less engaging environment. True. And then the last and final bullet point for the TLDR is unprecedented decline. The game's rapid collapse without competition from alternatives is attributed to mismanagement and proactive incompetence, making it a uniquely severe failure. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. Well, I guess you can label it under mismanagement or incompetence. So yeah, okay, I'll take that. I was just looking at it from, like, because there's no competition, it's marked as like a uniquely severe failure, but it is kind of attributed to the design choices, right? And that's what it means. It says mismanagement and competence. Because the developers of the game are out of touch from a gameplay perspective, 100%, a player-based perspective. But that's just Korean games. I don't know what else to say. As much as I would like this game to be, you know, more friendly to players, I just don't expect it to be. Oh. It's like, it's kind of like what you sign up for in a really shitty way, which is why the game is so niche, you know? It was massive at launch, and it just kind of downward spiraled since, and they did nothing to course correct. LA could have been, LA being Lost Ark could have been one of the huge MMOs that people would play endlessly if Smilegate wasn't just here for money. Fight mechanics are very unique and pleasant to play, but all the grind on the side, the old content dying without anything being done about it, I don't know, maybe a veteran roulette like Final Fantasy XIV, seems like instant cash is all that matters. Kind of sad because I really love the game, but patch after patch is just bullshit after bullshit, nothing to resolve players' issues, and everything to push you to hone grind again and again. Yeah, I think that's pretty well said and succinctly put. I don't disagree whatsoever. And reading this comment, I also 100% agree with this first sentence from this guy. It feels extremely weird to me that the decision to have old content be completely obsolete. They're putting in months of work for something that's going to be abandoned the moment there are 3 endgame content raids above it. It is crazy to me. For how much development time goes into these old contents, to just have them be basically instantly obsolete in the next 6 months is wild to me. We do have a period now where, like, the content hasn't really shifted for a good amount of time, but even still, with this very slowed pace, the content only is staying relevant for maybe a year. I think Echidna came out a year ago or about a year ago. I can't remember if it was the summer update last year or the before summer update. I just remember progging it when it was hot as shit outside. And that's usually around the summertime for where I live. So, I don't know. I don't disagree, though. Good post. And then the Korean gems change feedback mega thread. Character bound gems bad. Roster bound gems good. Basically. See if there's anything good before we stop here. There's a lot of removed comments here. Holy shit. Roster bound gems, period. We don't give a fuck if Korea and Mega Whales are unhappy with gem value deflation. It's needed for the survival of the game. True. Need roster bound gems, period. Yep. I mean, gems should have a similar system as a card set. You use one set per roster. I mean, that would be the most player-friendly experience possible. But it would basically remove gems as, like, sort of an item that holds value, in a sense. So I don't know. That would be a massive change to the game. But I think it would be overall probably better for the game. I don't know. I think it'd probably be better for the game. I mean, it would for sure be better from a completely gameplay perspective, but I'm trying to think of, like, the economical, like, standpoint stuff from it, too. Because, I don't know, gems are an important part of the economy. I don't know, it's hard. Anyways, I'll stop yapping. It's been about 15, 16 minutes, so thank you guys so much for watching, as always. Like the video if you like it, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll hope to see you guys in the next video that I post, whether that be Lost Ark, Mabel Story, Ballionaire, or something else. Thanking my YouTube members, of course, It's Biscuits, Ender, Diz, Remix My Life, I'm Nufu. I love all of you guys very, very much, and I'll see you guys all in the next one. Bye!